Hello, we're doing example 1 from your pre-calculus textbook. This is lesson 8.2, example 1, found on page 818 and 819 of your book. We're looking at systems of equations again, except this time what we are doing is I want to show you a couple of special ones. The example 1 is about when a system has no solutions. Now, you would set this up, this equation, the three equations that you see there, you would set these up like you always did in what we call an augmented matrix right here, which is nothing more than the coefficients of those, and then these three numbers down through here are these three numbers down through here. Okay. Now, once that is done, you're going to start that process of move that over a little bit. You're going to start the process of attempting to simplify the matrix by the row echelon form, and I've showed that on a previous example, actually back in 8.1, if you want to look that up, that video up. But when you're doing this particular problem, you want to get ones down the main diagonal of your problem, which is right down through here. You want those to be 1, and you want everything underneath those to become 0. And so that's what we're going to work on doing. And so on the first one, if you'll notice, there already is a 1. So we're moving in the original, there's 1. Now, to get rid of the 2 here in the first one, it says that because you want the zeros below that 1, you're going to multiply row 1 by -2 and then add those together. And you have to start doing this pretty proficiently on your own, but that's what you're doing. You're multiplying row 1 by -2 and then adding it to row 2 so that you can get a 0, and that's what you end up getting right here. Then, to get a 0 in where the 3 is, you're going to do the same operation, but you're going to multiply row 1 by -3. This time you're going to add the answer to that to row 3, which ends up being that right there. Okay. Now, if we move on to the second column, if you'll notice there is a -1 there, and I want that to be a positive 1. So that's an easy fix. All we're going to do is multiply everything in row 2 by -1, as you can see here, and you end up again with this new matrix right here. Okay. Now, if we want to get rid of this, because we want a 0 there to be in that row echelon form, the way that we can do that is simply just add row 2 and 3 together and put that in row 3. When you do, so to get a 0 here, if we multiply row 2 by 1 and then add that to row 2, which simply just means adding row 2 and 3 together, we're going to obtain a 0, a 0, a 0, and a 5 in that last row, excuse me, not column, but row. And what we want you to see by this is if something like this were to happen in this row echelon form, it is impossible to convert this last matrix to the desired form of ones down the main diagonal. If we translate the last row back into the equation form, then what ends up happening is that really means 0x plus 0y plus 0z equals 5. And that just is false. That can never happen. Regardless of what values I would put in for x or y or z, the last question could never be true because 0 times anything is 0. And so really what it's saying is that 0 equals 5, which is never going to be true. So because the answer is never going to be true, then you would come to the conclusion that the set is what we call an empty set, or sometimes we just refer to this as there is no solution when this particular if something like this were to happen, which we tried to show you how that might happen as you're working through the process, then you know that there's going to be no solution because there's no way to rectify that particular situation. Okay? Hope that made a little bit of sense. And this is just one of those special ones that you might encounter as you work with a 3 equations with 3 variables. I hope this helps.